Hello there, racing fans, and welcome back to the channel for episode one in our new stable tour series for the National Hunt season of 2025-26. I have loads of episodes lined up for you again this season. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I really do appreciate your time. If you're able to click like and subscribe to the channel, it's free to do. Just helps support the channel a little bit and just gets my content out there to a wider audience. But I thought it was only right, Barry, that I started with yourself for episode number one. How are you and how has your summer been?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks, Joe. Summer's been quiet. We've only had a handful of runners really. The ground has been it's been very dry. Um, so we've had four or five winners. I'd say we've only had about eight or nine running. And Anything we've run has run well. So that the art is in good form. We just really keep ticking over during the summertime. Most of the good horses were out in grass, and they're all in now, and we're ready to go.
Sorry, did you manage to get away for the summer at all, or is it not really your thing?
Um, no, haven't been abroad other than Cheltenham for
Yeah,
for
sure.
a few years. The kids are grown up now, and yeah, we all get together in family holiday with grandkids and so forth, Galway week. So we did that, and that was nice.
Yeah. And you managed to have a little bit of a end of season party with the staff, I believe, as well, didn't you? After just
Yeah,
for
we had it. We had a couple of parties. We had one the night after the Supreme in Cheltenham itself, and then about a couple of weeks later, there's a big racing pub in Kildare called the Harp, and
okay.
we had the Queen Mother's Cup ourselves
Oh,
with,
brilliant.
with us, and I think half of Kildare had a go drinking out of it. So
That
it
was
was a fabulous evening. It really was. The staff organised it and had some good video content, and I think I sent you the
you
helmet cam
did.
footage, which was
Yeah.
incredible. And it just I don't think enough is made of what what you can see with the helmet cam footage, and it just gives the general public
Oh,
a viewpoint from what the jockey is seeing at the time. And when you look at it, you can see three or four strides out what's going to happen. You can see the horse, whether the horse is in a rhythm or not in a rhythm, and everything just went incredibly well on the day, and it was lovely to have that footage. So look, they just put a compendium of footage together with a bit of music, and everyone was there. Sean was there, and it was a very memorable night.
what stood out to me is not only how brave jockeys must be to get onto a racehorse because it's just ferocious pace, especially on a horse exactly like Marine. You don't get many much faster, but how aware the likes of Sean must be in the saddle of tactical awareness because you can't see much from where you are. The awareness that these jockeys must have in such high profile races must be really impressive. It certainly is to me, as an individual that's never ridden a horse, but he seems to have fit in really well to the role. I mean, you must be delighted with the way things have gone since Sean has joined.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're incredibly lucky to have him.
Mm.
He's the world of experience. He's 36, I think, which is a great age. Like he's another good, 4, 5, 6 years. Nowadays, 36 is not old for a jump
Cool.
jockey. And he's a great mental attitude. So when you put the two things together, we're very, very fortunate to have him. And he's been a big part in the success we've had in the last year or so.
I suppose. I mean, of course, it's brilliant that Sean has come in and found things so easy just to slip into the role. The farm, Barry, I'm so fortunate to be able to come and attend your yard. It's just for those that don't know, it really is a pure state of the art, built from scratch pretty much, operation that you did from yourself. I know you had French Navy wasn't far down the road, I believe. Is that right? From
Yeah, well, Kildangan stood for about 3 seasons before
mm,
they gave up on him and sent him out to India. And it's Sheikh Mohammed's biggest stud in Ireland, and it's only about 3 miles from us. So it's on the same vein of land. So we very good land. We were lucky to buy the property we did, and there hadn't been a horse on it. It was a holiday home for somebody from abroad, and the local farmer kept a few cattle on it. So look at it's great land, and the horses seem to thrive on it.
it's a very relaxed environment. Very fortunate to have been to many yards, but just how clean yours was and how the setup was fantastic. I enjoyed the gallops as well. I believe you use Wexford deep sand, I think you said before, really good for the horses prior to obviously getting to a racetrack. Gives
Yeah,
them a bit of good physicality, I suppose, before they get to the races too. Is that all by design?
yeah. Look, I was fortunate to when I was riding to have ridden in a lot of the top yards in Ireland and the UK, and seen different surfaces and typically there's more of the kind of deep sand used in Ireland. A lot of the
Mm, mm.
UK trainers tend to have land with natural hills, and they use hills more than the sand. But we find we have a curragh license,
Yes.
as well as training the horses on the farm at home. And the curragh is only 15 minutes away, and it's like Newmarket. It's got incredible gallops. It's every kind of gallop you want. Grass gallops
Do
all over that.
you do they do schooling races at the Curragh as well? I believe you're
No, no, they don't do
okay.
schooling races, but there is a schooling. There are schooling facilities there.
Okay. Okay.
The tracks that tend to do schooling races would be Fairyhouse. Tipperary do one at the end of the season at Fairyhouse. Um, they would be the main ones. But no, I think the benefit, you mentioned that the farm and being very relaxed and quiet, and that's the way we want it, because I think we have the best of both worlds, because the horses, when they do 80% of their work at the farm at home, and we only bring them to the car about a month out from a run. They do two canters, maybe a half speed, and a piece of work.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so when we load them up in the box to go to the car, they know they're going to work. Whereas when
Sure.
they're at home, they're nice and relaxed, because they know they're just going for an ordinary canter. And um, as you say, we have deep Wexford sand, and it just gets them very, very fit. Um,
Yeah.
and we're only finishing them off, putting a little bit of speed into them,
Sure.
when we take them away. And we have, we don't have a big string riding out. Like, even in the winter, we wouldn't have more than 20 riding out. So the three main riders we have are two top ex jockeys, Roger Loughlin, Gareth Cotter, and the top amateur in the country, Finney Maguire.
Benny, yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
they would, whatever horse they horses they're allocated at the start of the season, they ride them throughout the season, so they get to know them really well.
Sure,
And when it
sure.
comes to doing their work, they know them inside out. Like, Sean would hardly ever be in the yard. Um, Bit like Mark Prescott and George Duffield. I think he worked for 20 years, and he was in the yard once. It's not quite that bad, but you know, uh, with the quality of work riders we have, we don't need Sean to come in. If somebody's away, he come in for a couple of days or do a bit of schooling or whatever. But I like to try and keep the same. When we're doing our last piece of work with Marine or William Munny or whoever it might be, rather than parachuting Sean in, who hasn't been riding the horse in his previous bits of work, I prefer to keep it with the guys, so we know where we're going incrementally.
Sure.
And it's look, that's the system we have, and we like it, and it seems to work.
Yeah. It's worked well. It's worked incredibly well, particularly over the last few years. And you mentioned Garrett there, who's obviously responsible for riding Marine out daily, but a very important member as well of your team, lovely lady, is Mandy, who oversees his general care and well-being in general. And she's integral, I suppose, Barry, isn't she? She looks after him every single day.
Yeah, well, Mandy is the yard manager, and her background is she's very little background in racing. She's from South Africa, and she was a rode internationally event rider. So that's her background, and she's an equine physiotherapist as well.
She's certainly
So
got the passion for it, hasn't she?
yeah,
She
but I mean,
oozes
in
enjoyment
terms
from it.
in terms of the mechanics of the horse, there's nothing she doesn't know. So,
Excellent.
we when we bring them in from grass, we have them on the walker for a few weeks, and then they go into her into the lunge ring with the saddle on and no rider. And it's just trying to get the horse working. Um, a lot of flat work. It's like Pilates for humans. It's just getting all the muscles in the right place and getting them built up after they've been off for a period of time. And um, she's a very integral part of the yard. And I think she's worked. She has worked in a racing yard. She worked in Ed Dunlop's as a physio. But she was always frustrated because they'd be taking the horse back off her before she was finished, and
Sure.
she's very particular about how she wants things done. But she's a huge asset to the team we have, and I think somebody coming from non-racing background, you know, can be beneficial because you're bringing a different discipline to the training.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Barry, I mean, let's move on to the horses now because it's been incredible. You've allowed me into the life and journey to watch Marine Nationale. And when we first spoke a few years ago, he was obviously a horse full of potential. But since then, Barry, he is now the supreme novice hurdle winner of 2023. He won the Royal Bond that year as well. He has this year won the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and he has also backed that up by winning the Punchestown Champion Chase. And they are titles that nobody can take away from him. He's the horse of a lifetime. He brings an emotional backstory as well with the story of Mikey O'Sullivan, and it's just been an incredible journey from start to finish with Marine Nationale. But before we go on to next season, first of all, how has he summoned him? Does he need a bit of extra work to get him fit again?
Um, he's very athletic,
Hmm,
which is the way we like the horses.
mhm.
He's tall and lean. He's put on weight. We don't let them get gross. But it's the first summer he's gone out um, in both physically and mentally in great shape. The year we won the Supreme, he was on the go during the summer. So we gave him a series of little mini breaks, so he didn't have a proper summer break. And last summer when he went out, it was after a truncated season where he had a suspensory injury. So like he had a good summer the previous year, but this year he's gone out, having had an uninterrupted season. But more importantly, for the older horses, when they get to his age, it's more of a mental break that they get rather than
Yes.
allowing them to, not like the store horses going out who need to
Hmm.
fill out into their frame. So the fact that he won his last two races so easily, didn't get a tap of the stick, you know, they know when they've won. And the fact that he's gone out without having had to empty the tank in two championship races, is a huge plus, and he's come in like an absolute bull. I haven't seen this horse, and Garrett who rides him, his attitude, when you're bringing him out for a roll, bring him out to the paddock, he's just jumping all over the place, and he's raring to go, this horse.
Yeah, good. You just mentioned there about how after the race, it's like he knew he'd won the race, and I don't think people understand how potent is not only his high cruising speed, but he can show a turn of foot off the back of that as well. And there's not often you find horses able to do that. After the last at Cheltenham, where the barriers they sort of separate, you can almost see him buck himself, his back legs, and he just takes off like a rocket. But it was the same in the Supreme Barry. After his race, you said he didn't even have a blow. It's like,
Mm.
although people seem to think that was the best the Marine in the champion chase, there could still be a little bit more to come from him this year. Would you? Because that was
Yeah,
almost he was almost a second season novice
well,
last
yeah. I
last.
mean, that was the issue
Mm,
we had with him. That we missed our most of our novice season. He only had 2 runs, and then he got a suspensory injury. So we were behind the 8 ball
mm.
starting the season. That we were in against the 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 Grade One horses who had been running at that top level for a number of years, but we'd only had 2 runs over fences, so we're having to catch up experience wise, and that's why it was a bit of a slow burn. He had a nice introduction in Nace, and then ran 2 good races in Leopardstown, but they were stepping stones to getting him where we needed to get to. And it wasn't ideal. So I would like to think there is improvement, from the fact that he'll be coming into this season off the back of a full program
Campaign, yeah.
last year, and also, as I mentioned earlier on, mentally he's in a great space. He'd never a hard race. He'd never a hard race last year. And he went out in a great place. So, um, he's coming into his prime, even though he seems to have been around for a long time. He's only 8, and he's only had 13 runs in his whole life. So he's relatively low mileage. And just going back to what you were saying in terms of taking off at the back of the last. One of the big assets of this horse is he's 5 or 6 different gears, and oftentimes when you'd be looking at him working, at the Curragh, he would, just looking at him, you wouldn't be quite sure about how much he's left in the tank, because he's not tanking along with the rider. He's just there. He's not behind the bridle either. But every time the rider gives him a squeeze, he goes through a gear. It's like a good sports car. He just,
Yes.
you ask him to squeeze and he'll pick up, and then you can ask him again and he'll pick up again. And in his races this year, the best furlong he had was the last furlong, both in Cheltenham and in Punchestown.
It's very snappy, isn't it, as well?
He hits the line hard. When you pick him up, Punchestown was interesting because Sean rode him down the inside, and it's a tight enough track in Punchestown, and there were horses in front of him, and after the third last, before they swung in, he had 3 lengths to make up, and when the drone camera kicked in, you're wondering, is he going to pick up here? I think Ruby Walsh was commentating at the time and said, he'd like to be on El Fabiolo, who seemed to be going better. But when the camera angle changed, you could see the horse had just picked up and was doing a half speed coming down to the second last. I know El Fabiolo fell. Who knows? But like between the second last and the last, the horse looked like he jumped in. And it was the same in Cheltenham when he was coming down the hill. And then popped over the last and little squeeze and away with them. Um, that's just him, and he's didn't have a blow after the race. He just knows he's good, and he'll do what he needs to do. He's not burning any excess energy. And the other great attribute he has is his mental calmness. The two
It
times
must be a huge asset. It must
massive,
be. Some
massive.
horses have lost the race before they got to the racetrack, but
You go into the pre-parading there, and you can see
mm,
the ones with earplugs and hoods and jogging around and sweating. And this guy, um, he's been to Cheltenham twice, and it's like he's walking around the yard at home, and that is absolutely massive. You know, it's great for the jockey. Canters down to the start. What do you want me to do? Pops off down the inner, gets into a rhythm, and it was like a piece of work.
it's just his jumping as well, exceptional. When he made his beginner's chase debut at Leopardstown, he was absolutely flawless, and obviously things didn't go right in the Irish Arkle.
Yeah,
And okay, I came to watch him at Nace as well on his first start last season, but it looked to me like a little bit of a blow the cobwebs away race, and he just progressed for the entire season. Coming into this year as the reigning champion now, Barry, does that change any plans for him going forward regarding starting point or campaign? Of course, as a supreme winner, he went from the Royal Bond to Cheltenham by design at the time, but it's not a necessity for him, is it? He built up through last season and you got him primed for Cheltenham and Punchestown when it really mattered. So any idea with a starting point for Marine this
yeah,
season?
yeah. The race he ran in Nace last year was for second season novices, so that's not that. So he goes to the Fortria,
Perfect.
which
Okay.
which is a week later,
Yes.
the middle of November. Typically, a horse going for the champion chase will have his first run in either the Fortria or the Hilly Way in Cork. The Hilly Way, the ground will be usually too soft down there. So
Hmm.
Navan in November, the ground normally hasn't gone heavy or anything like that. Like he'd cope with soft ground. Just prefer if it wasn't proper winter ground. And then because we're not trying to catch up experience wise, it's very straightforward this year. He'll go to Fortria and then Leopardstown at Christmas, DRF, Cheltenham and Punchestown.
Does he win it? Does he win in March? I know you don't like to say too much, Barry, and I'm putting you right on the spot,
Well,
but
I think I mean, if you look at what is around, generally what the first thing you do is you look at who are the novices, what's coming
Mhm.
through. Okay, the Arkle probably was a weak race. It looked a weak race. You could throw a blanket over the five of them. Um, so possibly something will come out of the woodwork. Who knows? You know, Sergino might resurrect himself. I honestly, I don't know what happened to him. But if he comes back, he'll be in the same position that we were last year, having missed a lot
Mhm.
of his season. I think he is currently favourite for the Arkle,
Yes.
and we're second favourite, um, which is a little bit of a surprise. But anyway,
Hmm. Hmm.
that all I can speak to is our own horse, and we couldn't be happier with him. The way he's come back in, he's cantering away at the moment. We will get a racecourse gallop from somewhere before he goes to. He probably pop a couple of fences. He might go into Punchestown, pop a couple of fences, just in a way day, and go to Navan, and he should be pretty straight going to Navan. Um, and in terms of what's around, it's pretty much what was there last year.
Sure. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, you know, the likes of Solness there, had a load of experience. I think he's 17 runs.
Yes.
And that obviously was a big help to him in the early part of the season.
Hmm.
We're not going to be fully tuned up, but it won't be like last season,
Sure.
where it's going to take the horse 3 runs to get to where we
Yes.
want to get him, if you follow me.
Yeah, so last year it was catch up. This year it's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can
yeah.
map out Cheltenham
Look,
from the get go.
he won't be fully tuned, but we would be expecting to go to Navan and win.
Yes, excellent. Well, that's
Without, and leave improvement to come for the rest of the season.
sure.
That would be our aim. The Cheltenham factor is huge for this horse. I mean, he's been there twice, and he hasn't had a race. Look, I think you can bring on whatever you want to bring on. Um, uh, like I've never been backward about saying this horse is the real deal. And I think he's proven now. Having backed up, I think there's only been 6 horses in the last 20 years that have done the double.
yes.
Punchestown, Cheltenham double.
I think we had a Nergamine recently, did we? When he won the champion
Yeah,
chase on
yeah, yeah,
soft.
yeah. And look, he was a good horse, and
Mm,
he's getting on. But look, I'd like to think it's an aim, it's a target. I said it
yes.
after Punchestown that I'd love to win 3,
Hmm.
which when I was amazed when I went back and did the research that there's only been 1 horse who's ever done it.
Sure.
Badsworth Boy in the early 70s.
Yes.
Because now I've been there when all the good horses have won, Altior, Sprinter Sacra, Masterminded, Moscow Flyer, all those horses. But when I went back and looked at it, God, I was very surprised that none of them, they won 2, but none of them
Yes.
had won 3. So, look, that's a target. The horse is lightly raced. He's only 8. So, he'd be 9 next year, he'd be 10 the following year. But he's very little mileage, and if you were to design a horse for a champion chaser, you'd come back with him.
He so I was
Sorry,
going to
go
say
ahead.
he can seemingly handle sort of any track as well. But is that
Yeah,
something to do with his frame? He's almost got like a long back, but he's leggy, but he's aerodynamic. And I thought, well, he handles Nate, he handles Cheltenham, he can go the other way at Punchestown as well.
yeah,
He just
yeah.
seems so versatile.
Doesn't matter. No, he won the Royal Bond
Yeah,
going
another one.
right-handed, Grade 1 at
Fairy House.
Fairyhouse, and his speed got him out of trouble.
Mm,
He was, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time in that race, and his speed got him out of it. He's just very agile. He's very straightforward horse to ride. And but he loves Cheltenham. And you see over the years it is
mm.
a particularly unique track. You have all the undulations down the back. You have a very sharp turn up the top. The fences come at you very quickly at different angles. So you need a horse that travels, which he does, and he jumps very well. And then he has the ability to kick after the last and get up the hill. And as I said, his last furlong is probably his best furlong. And the way he's switching off, there's no reason why he wouldn't get further. I won't
Sure.
be going further with him, but
Just to clarify. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah.
But he's hitting the line hard. He's never given an indication that he's running out of gas when he gets to the end of the race. So
I mean,
that you want a horse to win a champion chase when you're going that gallop. You want a horse that stays further than 2 miles. Because you're hitting the hill, and it probably rides like a 2.25 mile race.
yeah, sure, sure. Is it stamina in the sense you need them to maintain top speed for longer rather than being able to sort of see out the trip? Because you don't want to get caught getting done in a sprint finish. Not that that would happen to Marine because that's one of his best assets. But when they talk about like you need a stayer to win the Supreme, you need a stayer to win the Arkle, is it more about sustainability with the top speed coming up sort of the stiff
Yeah,
Cheltenham Hill?
you have to have a blend of both. You have to have
Okay,
you have to have tactical speed,
sure.
so that when the gaps open, that you're able to hold your position when the gap's open. You want to make your move to going down the hill. You have to tactical speed, because it is a tight turning track. But you also need stamina when when you jump the last. You've still got the guts of a furlong and a half up that hill. And if you're not able to maintain the pace, you're going to get caught.
Well, best of luck with Marine for this season ahead. But as you know, I'm very much obsessed with him. I think he's an incredible animal. I really do. Ever since he won at Killarney, I've then seen him at Cheltenham, Leopardstown, Fairyhouse, Naas, and I will continue to do so this season. But Barry, it's great that on top of Marine, you have managed to find some new real quality star talent in the yard. You have a beautiful horse now called William Munny. Obviously, he's only a 7-year-old at the moment. He was another one that didn't really show his best until he probably got to Cheltenham. But again, you must have just been delighted the fact that he's been able to come out and compete. And again, like you said, we haven't seen the best of him yet. He got to Cheltenham, and then he really sort of showed you what he was made of. How has he been over the summer to start? And
Yeah,
just a little bit on last season.
He's done well. I mean, last year was well, for a start, we bought him as a store as a 3-year-old, and we give them as much time as they need. And we had him for 3 years before we ran him, because he was backward. He showed us plenty early on, and then just kept getting weak, and we gave him plenty of time. And he won 2 bumpers. His first bumper, he just won by a short head, but the bumper he won in Naas on heavy ground was
amazing.
Remarkable.
Yeah,
and it was heavy ground. And Finney Maguire, who rides him, said he went through it like he was one of Aidan O'Brien's 2-year-olds. Just took off. So anyway, we brought him back in this year and expected a big start. He was keen in his bumpers.
Yeah,
and he was keen for good reason, because he just has such natural talent that he can't understand why the jockeys wanting him to go a bit slower.
And what can you do about that? Can you change the mouthpiece, or can you?
Yeah, I mean, we tried a different bit with him, but the main thing is just experience. He ran Leopardstown Christmas, and he was way too keen. And because he was keen, he wasn't listening to the rider.
Sure.
Finney was riding him at home, so he rode him his first couple of races. And he was making mistakes as well, because he wasn't listening to the rider. And then he went to Fairyhouse, and he was beaten a length, I think, by Cowabunga.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were a long way clear of the rest. And he was keen again in that race and made mistakes again. And I came home disappointed, and I got a phone call from one of the top speed analysts, a guy I know really well, from years ago, and I hadn't heard from him in a long time. And he said, "Look, I had to ring you." He said, "Because what happened in that maiden hurdle at Fairyhouse today," he said, "on my speed figures, so either of those horses, their times would have been good enough to win 7 out of 10 Supreme Novice hurdles." He said that just it was an incredible race. So usually what you do with the novices before they go to Cheltenham is they usually win their maiden hurl, and then they're straight in Ireland. They're straight into a grade 1.
I remember we spoke about this previously, and you were quite
It's
keen.
not like England, where you have novices hurls and you can run up sequence.
Sure.
You typically you win your, they probably had a couple of bumper runs the previous year, so you win your maiden, and then you're straight into a grade 1. That's usually the program, like the Royal Bond or the one at Christmas or whatever. But because we got beat in our first 2 races, we had to go a third time.
Okay.
So there was a listed or a grade 3 or a listed 2-mile race in Punchestown, and Sean Flanagan took over riding him, and we dropped him in which you can't really do in a maiden hurl, in a 16-runner maiden hurl. You can't really drop them in. So we dropped him in. And it was for the first time he dropped the bridle and he settled. And he jumped really well and he absolutely bolted in. So we said, right, okay, we're going to the Supreme with him. And the only problem we had was because he had been hard on himself in his first couple of runs, and we'd had a third run, that he was getting pretty light on us. And
Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no, he was getting light on us, and I was a bit concerned before he went over. And I rang Mandy, who travelled over with the horses after they'd arrived, and she said the usual Marine is not a bother on him. She said the other horse is very light, very tucked up.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now he did improve, you know, the couple of days he was there, but he was still after having, you know, even though he won easily the third time, he just had two hard races the first couple of times, and I was surprised. Normally, when you see a horse that goes that light, they just don't perform.
Okay.
And so I think it's to his credit that he ran the race that he did, and he pushed the winner the whole way to the line. He's beaten a length and a quarter or something like that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
And that was a strong Supreme. And it's turned out it's turned out afterwards. I think two Grade One winners come out of it.
Yes.
Afterwards. And interestingly enough, the winner, we decided we'd pull up stumps after Cheltenham because he was
interesting.
Look, he was way too light, and we just wouldn't dream of running it again. We got away with it in Cheltenham. But interestingly, the winner had a hard race in the battle he had with us and ran no race in Punchestown.
Yes, yes.
And I think that was a factor of just having
one had too many.
He had a tough battle. Our guy pushed him the whole way to the line. Everyone thought he was going to go over there and canter around.
Sure.
And as I say, two Grade One winners came out of the race, and they were miles behind. They were 6, 7, 8, 10 behind. So, and the horse come in this season. He's in super nick, and I think, you know, he'd be a different kettle of fish this year because he'd be running in the Supreme. He jumped great as well because he settled. You know, when you're going a proper pace, when they're going the pace that he's able to go, he's in his comfort zone, and he jumped really well. Don't think he made a mistake in the Supreme. So we're looking forward to this guy now for this year. We think there's big things coming.
Good. I mean, just looking on that Supreme again, how you said it was really strong form. Salvatore Mundy bolted up at Aintree. Romeo Coolio, great Grade One winner. Ironsi went on to be really special. Yeah, like you said, William Munny probably only just starting to scratch the surface now. And now this season, again, you can have a real good crack at hurdles or chase campaign, whichever you decide. And obviously we'll speak on that in a moment, because he's only had 7 career starts again, like you said, Barry. And where he's potentially still going forward, I'm not discrediting Kopek de Board at all. But like I said, he had a hard season, so they've got to sort of get him back and then regroup to go again for the new season. But also coming from that home turn at Cheltenham, the distance that you closed on Kopek de Board from there to the line was huge. Every other horse actually had a growing distance from them in the winner. So he has to be the one that comes out with, you know, all of the potential. Now, I suppose this gives you a lot of options for next season. And Barry, I'm very fortunate to speak to you quite often. But even I'm not sure what you are going to do this year. I do, however, have a slight theory that maybe I'll share with you first. And you can tell me if I'm way off or way on. Now, I know forever you have always wanted to win a champion chase. Now, you have done that with Marine, and he has the possibility of winning another 2. So, send William Munny down to the Arkle, and he gets the Arkle done. The following year, he's going to meet Marine Nationale, and that's going to be...
You're 100% right.
Good, good.
That's one of the main considerations, is that if you win an Arkle,
You go in there next.
you're going down Champion Chase, and you wouldn't be trying to make a Ryanair horse out of them. I don't want to be taking myself on in the
Yes,
Champion
interesting.
Chase. So you've actually hit the nail on the head with
Brilliant.
one of the reasons why we're probably going to go for the Champion Hurdle rather than the Arkle.
I'm really, really glad about that, honestly, because he's not very big, is he? He's not overly big horse.
No, he's big enough. He's big. He's definitely big enough to jump a fence now. He's 16.
Okay.
He's 16, 1.5. Like, there'd be absolutely no problem in him jumping a fence. It's not like he's a 16 hands or 16 one hand horse. No, he's plenty of size.
Yeah. Okay.
But look, it's not cast in stone, but there are a couple of reasons that we would be looking at Champion Hurdle. Firstly, after Cheltenham, I kind of said, look, natural route is the Arkle.
Of course.
Like,
yes.
we hadn't seen, what was going to play out for the rest of the year. But after Punchestown, there's definitely a vacancy in the Champion Hurdle.
Yes.
And Constitution Hill was unfortunate to take, a very heavy fall in Cheltenham. And at the time, like, he had a rotational fall and landed on his neck, and it's just a horrible fall, So at the time, I think the plan for them was to, regroup and maybe go to Punchestown, but
sure,
they ended up going to Aintree, and the same thing happened again.
Sure.
And I mean, everyone saw what happened to Punchestown. The horse didn't want to line up.
Yes.
He didn't want to start. It's not, and that's not him. But unfortunately, if you do get a couple of really bad falls, it does shake the horse's confidence. And
yes.
Look, he's another year older. The State Man is a very admirable horse, and look, he's another year older next year. He beat Golden Ace by 5 lengths in Punchestown, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that good enough to win a Champion Hurdle next year? Possibly. Well, there isn't a standout.
Yes.
Constitution Hill, a year ago, 2 years ago, you would have said, look, he's unbeatable. He's going to be like the next Isterback. But that isn't the case. Now, maybe he will come back, but the jury is out. So I think there is an opening there. I think of the novices, interestingly, the favourite for the race is Dan Skelton's horse.
Yes,
who's rated.
This is exactly my second point, by the way. This is exactly my second point.
158.
Yeah, right? Sure.
Or rated 156.
Exactly.
So there's like 2 pounds in ratings, and I think our horse, had a couple of hard runs, and is probably plenty of improvement to come.
Sure.
Like, he beat the Yellow Clay 1.5 lengths. Is that good enough to be 5-1 favourite? And we were 50-1, and I think we're still 25-1. Or
yes, that's right.
Something like that.
Second in a Supreme to Cook at the board by a length and 3/4, and then the New Lion beating the Yellow Clay, like we said, by a couple of lengths. How the bookies have priced it that way, I do not know.
I think one of the reasons probably is Skelton said afterwards that he's definitely going for the Champion Hurdle, and yourself with Ante-Post. The first thing is, are you what's your target?
Sure.
So I can understand that. We hadn't said where we're going or what we're doing, or whatever else. So I think of the novices coming through. We're definitely within a pound or two, give or take, of the top novices coming through, and what's there at the moment. You wouldn't say is going to make for a vintage champion hurdle. Um, that the other consideration is ground. So if we were going to go to the champion hurdle, we'd be going to the Morgiana, which is Punchestown,
Brilliant.
middle of
Love to see him
November,
there.
and the ground will be soft. I think this horse is genuinely the way he handled a heavy ground in Naas. He's a better horse than soft ground. Yeah,
Because
like a good horse will run on any ground, but like he handles soft ground really well. And then if you are going down that route, you have two races in Leopardstown, and the hurl track in Leopardstown is generally easier than the ground wise than the chase track, because it's basically the flat track that's been irrigated all season.
okay,
Whereas the
yeah, I
chase
see.
track, they use them to look after the chase track,
Mm,
and it got very dry, and they ended up with no runners. Now they do a much better job on it, but at the margin, I think the ground will be, will be nicer ground, easy, a bit easier ground, a bit kinder,
yes, yes.
in on the hurl track, which again I think will suit him. Um,
'Cause he's by
so
Westerner as well. They're sort of plenty versatile with that sort of thing
the
in
first
general,
time
aren't
they
they?
generally tend to improve for a fence.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
They generally tend to improve for fence, but they improve with age as well. So look, that's what we're thinking. Um,
Excellent.
it's not cast in stone, but
Sure.
we're more likely to go for the champion hurl than the Arkle at the moment.
Could I ask for a percentage, or is that a little bit unfair? Like
I'd
at the
say
current state,
we're leaning. It's
fine.
well over
That's fair
50.
enough.
It's well over 50%.
Perfect.
Like there's three or four reasons. You hit the nail on the head with one of them.
Okay.
So I'd say it's currently the plan.
Barry, you could be taking the champion hurdle and the champion chase in March. I don't want to tempt fate, but that would be absolutely incredible. You had one more runner at Cheltenham last season at the festival, a lovely catguard mare called Nine Graces. She's
Yeah,
an 8-year-old by
yeah.
catguard, like a proper old school, sort of old fashioned chasing pedigree. She was 12th of 23, but I know that you think she's a little bit better than that. And that was her first attempt at 3 mile 2 as well at Cheltenham, wasn't it?
No, she won over an extended 3 miles of
Extended
Punchestown.
3. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have brought her.
Okay.
Temperament wise, she just didn't handle it, and we had an absolute nightmare. She wasn't too bad going around the parade ring,
Okay.
and we went to go down the chute, and Derek O'Connor was riding a horse for JP, and
Yeah,
the
Johnny
horse,
and
the horse started reversing back up the chute in front of her,
okay.
and he got off the horse, and she got an awful fright, and
Okay.
we'd some job trying to get her down the chute.
Oh, okay.
She was listen, her race was gone at that stage. So
Okay.
you can put a line through that, and she won't be going to Cheltenham again because she just,
Fine. Interesting.
yeah, she just it's the other side of the coin to Marine.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
She's just didn't handle the occasion, but we think she's still on a very attractive mark,
Hmm.
chasing wise, and what we've got in mind is the Cork National,
Excellent. Okay.
3.5 miles. It's soft ground, 3.5 miles. It'll be similar conditions to the Amateur National that Finney won with her in Punchestown, and she got
Yeah.
into a great rhythm. And it's that kind of a race. It's a 0 to 140,
Mm, mm.
3.5 mile. So she'll have probably a prep run over hers before that, but that is it's middle of November, I think. Yeah. So I think that there's a couple of decent decent wins with her to come.
Perfect. Perfect. Do you think she'll stay no problem as well, the trip?
Well, she already has. Like that amateur national she won was an extended 3 miles. I think it was three and a quarter,
Oh,
three.
I didn't realize it was so far.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah, yeah.
see.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no. Absolutely no problem.
excellent. Well, not only have you got some very nice horses in your own colours, Barry, you've got some fantastic horses for Tim O'Driscoll. Um, you've got a very nice 5-year-old by Bucksboom who you've acquired from the Willie Mullins yard called Czar Fatal.
Yeah.
Now he's a point-to-point winner. He then won his bumper at Goran before bombing out at Punchestown. What do you think of him so far, and what have you learned since? Because you can't have had him too long at the yard.
We got him just before he went out on grass, and he's been
Okay.
out in our place.
Okay.
He's been out in our place for the summer, and
Hmm.
he's done well. Um,
A lovely looking horse. Lovely
yeah,
looking
he is.
horse.
He is. It was heavy ground as it is always in Gorn at that time of year, and it was a 2.25 mile bumper,
Hmm.
and he bolted in. I think he was probably single digits for the Supreme
Yes, he
after he ran.
was. Yep. Yep.
Um, and he probably didn't need to run again.
Okay.
And look, he just didn't have a happy experience in Punchestown. He was too keen, and um, he didn't run his race.
Hmm.
But we have an idea why that might be. So um, he will be going. He'll be going novice hurling this year, and I'd say he could be. He's probably going to eat. He won't be a 2 miler. I'd say a 2.5. I'd say
Hmm.
a 2.5 miler. Um, and I'd be hopeful that we get him back to the kind of form that he showed um
Goran.
in Gorham Park that
Goran.
time.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I know he's by a dam. He's by a Voie de Nord dam. I think they had Kenboy, I believe. So the staying pedigree might scream,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Look, but sure, we'll just take it as it comes. But
Okay.
what he's definitely a horse that we think will, soft ground in a trip will bring out the best in him.
Perfect. Okay. You have another with Tim called Each to Their Own. Another by
Yeah,
Westerner, actually.
yeah.
I think he's lovely. I can be a little bit biased with your horses, Barry, obviously being a super fan, but I generally think he could be top quality, couldn't
Well,
he?
I think I nominated him last year as being one of the
Yes,
best young
I
horses we've had.
remember.
And a bit like William Munny, too keen,
Okay. Okay.
way too keen in his first race. Didn't do himself any favors. And the next time we dropped him in, he settled better, not 100%, settled better, and he was second to a horse called Kaiser Ball.
Yes.
They were a good bit clear. Kaiser Ball hasn't been seen since, but I think he was well fancied for the Cheltenham bumper, and
Yes.
we wouldn't run a horse in the Cheltenham bumper. We just don't think it's the right thing to do for young horses.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we had run him in a schooling race over hurls before, and I think the hurls would be the making of him. Like
Okay.
he was exceptional in that schooling race. He beat a bunch of graded horses. Um, I think the hurls will settle him down. And he's another horse that's grown. Um, he's 6 now, but he's grown and filled out. So I expect him to be a graded horse. He'll be 2 miles. The other guy will be 2.5.
Perfect. I did wonder that because obviously,
Well, no, he's definitely 2 miles because he's buckets of speed, and
brilliant.
he's like William Money. You're trying to slow him down, but I think once he gets over a hurl and gets into a rhythm, he's a very fast horse, and he's buckets of ability. Look, I know you can look at him and say, well, look, he's running 2 bumpers, he's been beaten twice. Um,
I think
when
they're
you
going
go
to
back
work
over
out
the
pretty
when you go
good.
back when you go back over the years, a lot of good horses never won a bumper. Moscow Flyer
Hmm.
never won a bumper.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
he's a great as well,
yeah, look,
Mustang Sonic. Yeah.
we haven't lost faith in them. They probably those two and another one you asked me about last year who was injured. Claude Duval is coming back and he's
I've
in
got
great
him
form.
on. I've got him on. He's the last one on my list, Barry. But
Yeah, well,
I might as
they're
well
to
ask you
me.
now.
Yeah, Claude.
Yes,
Interestingly enough, he ran in a maiden hurl at Navan last year. Like he's a giant. He's 17. He's over 17 hands. He's
I
built like
remember. I remember standing next to him in Marine when
yeah,
I first came to yours, and I said, "Who's this giant?" And you said, "Oh, that's Claude." You said, "He's
yeah,
still growing. He's still
yeah.
growing." You
He's
said he must have been
17. He's
16
nearly
and a half
17
then.
one. He's like a brick
Unbelievable.
wall. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing, he went to Navan and he ran the maiden hurl, and he wasn't fully wound up. Ran a lovely race, finished third. But at the last, there was a horse in Old Meads
Velvet Dream.
who's interesting now because he's Helvic Dream. He actually won the Galway Hurl. Um,
And Claude's done next to nothing career-wise yet, and he
yeah,
has
but
pushed him.
Helvic Dream was about to fall over. He made a mistake, was about to fall over, and he bounced off Claude and bounced back up again and won. We were a
Not
couple of lengths
surprised.
behind him. But unfortunately, we got a stress fracture of the femur, which is
Hmm.
what Ryan Moore has at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay,
Um,
interesting.
and
Okay.
we had to stand in for 6 or 8 weeks, and
Hmm.
it just he lost a lot of muscle tone, and it set us back a year.
Yes,
But
yes.
look, probably no bad thing given the size of him.
Hmm.
But he's on the go at the moment, and he's pleasing us now. Um, he has the ability to make a graded horse as well. So I think that those three horses there, I would expect to be graded horses.
Brilliant. Okay.
Over, I expect them to win their maiden hurls and be competitive in graded races.
Excellent. Excellent. It's nice to know that you've got such a good squad coming through. And you mentioned, Barry, that you buy a lot of your horses as store horses. So you don't like to really mess too much of point-to-point horses. And is that simply because you don't want them to have done too much, or you don't know how much they've done when they come into your care? Whereas you buying them as store horses, you can track every bit of progression they have through their career
Yeah, yeah,
without any physicality potential issues.
yeah, that's the case. I mean,
Yeah.
look,
Okay.
I've been involved in horses as an owner for a long time before
Yes.
before I started training, and I've made all the mistakes. And typically, the point horses that turn up in Brightwells as 4 year olds and make mega money. They're still very immature. They've come out of the sales as 3 year olds, and they're turning up. They're on the go for 9 months, and they're turning up in the spring of their
Mm.
4 year old career. And we've seen over the years the horses I bought a few of them over the years, and they just haven't. They might win a bumper or maiden hurl, but just they're not the big frames, and they're not. These horses don't mature until they're 5 or 6.
Hmm.
And we've seen that with the likes of William Munny, who we had for 3 years
Yes.
before he ran. And they will pay you back if once they show you something, if you give them the time to mature, and then you can have a career for them. The thing with us is you know, we're a small team and we only buy 3 or 4 stores every year. We're not buying 20. So I can't afford to burn through,
Yeah, I
those
understand.
horses, and we want to give them. We have to set up with the farm and the riders to give them, and the program we have, to give them the experience and the time that they need. Um, those horses that I mentioned that we're looking forward to as novices this year are 6 and 7 year olds.
Yes, sure. Hmm.
Um, so in terms of trying to get an edge and compete at the highest level, I think that's one of the principal ones that we have, is that we're able to give them all the time they need to mature.
Yeah.
Whereas the bigger stables have huge numbers, and typically they tend to they tend to race, as 4 and 5 year olds, and sometimes they will go on and have longevity, but more often than not, that a lot of them go by the wayside. I know William Munny, if we pushed on with him, as a 4 or 5 year old, he wouldn't
He's
be where
struggling now.
he is now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
look, it's our system; it suits us, and it's working at the moment. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the way. Like last year's, I think we have 3 or 4 really nice bumper horses for this year, which would be the stores that we bought, not this year, but the previous year, who've had kind of 18 months. They've had plenty of time. They're 4 year olds. Most of them won't run until this the spring. They'll have a couple of runs in
Okay.
the spring as 5 year olds. There are a couple that look pretty precocious that might run at kind of Leopardstown at Christmas
Okay.
as
Okay.
4 year olds. They're all unraced. We bought 3 of them at the unraced sales, and I bought another horse from Sam Curling, who coincidentally is the guy we bought.
Marine from.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he had bought him. He bought him out of France, and he'd a bit more done.
Has
And
he ran?
Sam,
Has he ran? Has he ran
no, he
in?
hasn't run. No, and Sam's
Okay.
system is very good. He's a bit like ours. He's very good riders, and he takes his
Okay.
time with these horses. So, any of the ones we've had from him, and he came up and he did we had a bit of a. He came up and he worked with some of our smarter ones, and before we bought him, so we had a bit of a trial run, and he's by a Ksar called Bande.
Never heard of him
New
actually.
Ksar,
Interesting.
yeah, new
Oh,
Ksar.
interesting.
He's I think he's first season or second season runners.
Okay. Okay.
Typical French Ksar. Listen, some of them only cover 40, 50 mares
Handful of
over there.
meds. Yeah.
They can come from anywhere over there. But he's buckets of talent, and what we did the day after we galloped him on the Curragh is we threw him
Okay.
out. We left him out on
Excellent.
grass, and he's come in. So we know he looks a real bumper horse, and we've 3 absolutely smashing types with all the attributes you want.
For this season as well, are these the
This
ones?
season, athleticism, pedigree, the whole lot. We've a Cap Guard, a Crystal Ocean, and a Harzand.
I was going to ask you about a Crystal Ocean. There is a picture on my phone of when I attended the yard, and I've got a picture. There was an outside box near William Money, and I'm sure you had a Crystal Ocean
Yeah, the
in
grey
there.
horse.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
Yeah,
Really good looking
yeah.
horse.
The interesting
Are any of
thing
these?
now,
Sorry, go
he
for it.
when we bought him,
Hmm.
he had only 1 horse on the ground.
Okay. Okay.
The dam had only 1 horse on the ground, called Shearer, a
Oh,
horse
for Paul
that
Nichols.
Paul Nichols had.
Yes.
Good horse. I'd say he was probably a grade 3 horse. Won plenty of races. But
And he.
since we've got him, he's had another couple of winners. A horse called Frankie John that won at
I saw. Yeah, for
Galway.
for the Hogans, I believe.
Yeah, Hogan's big
Yeah, I
horse.
remember.
He's
That's it.
sold it for
Yeah.
big money as a pointer at one of the sales, and
Yes.
I think he had a stone bruise or something, and they sent him back home. But anyway, look, he's well related, does everything very easily. Huge stride, big horse. You'd absolutely love him. He's not named.
That was my next question. That was
He's
my
not
next
named.
question.
He's not named. Cap Guard. The guys at home reckon these 3 horses we have are the best stores we've ever had.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was Band, Crystal Ocean, and Harzand.
Cap Guard, and we have a Harzand as well. The
Were
Harzand
there?
would probably be kind of back end of the spring, whereas
Sure.
the Cap Guard, the Crystal Ocean and the Cap Guard could be
Sooner, perhaps.
Could be earlier.
Okay.
They won't have more than two runs in bumpers. I don't like running them more than twice.
Hmm.
But they're the future. They are smashing horses, and the lads are mad about them.
I can't wait for you to get the name together. How do you come up with the names, Barry? Have you do you just choose
Um,
Goodland? How did you come up with Goodland?
I
You
didn't.
mentioned,
He was named already.
of course, he was. Yeah, he was.
We
Sorry.
bought him. He was named already. Marine. We bought three horses during COVID when there was no point of points, and they were already named. Farmers Lodge and Goodland came together, and Marine came, and they were all named.
I
Um,
suppose Marine was named Marine Nationale because of French Navy,
French
his
Navy
sire, and
is
yeah,
Marine Nationale is French Navy in English. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Well, I won't push you any more on the bumper horses for now, but I will. I'd definitely like to get the names up there before anyone else. If you want to name one of them Ginger Joe, Barry, you are allowed to.
We haven't got. Actually, we have one ginger. I bought a few this year, and we have one ginger. So
Okay, well,
that could be a long-term project.
well, there you go. I'm not going to put any
It
expectation on, but
depends on whether you're still ginger at the time.
well, we discussed before. I might have to rebrand soon, honestly,
Mm,
Barry. But
mm.
even so, then there's the grey horse we've got. So look, if you want to name one after me, I've got no objection
Yeah,
to that
yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
I will definitely bear that in mind.
Last one to mention. In fact, I've got two, if you don't mind, because big fan of Avondale, the 5-year-old by Glen Eagles.
Yeah,
Is he close to graded company? He looks right on the borderline to
yeah.
me.
He is, and we were. I did mention we didn't many runners this year because the ground was
Mm.
very dry. When he won, he won two flat races last year, and he was rated 80, but he won on heavy ground. And for Glen Eagles, surprisingly,
Mm. Not great.
not keen on summer ground. And um, he won his maiden well in Bellistown, and then we went to Galway, and it was early in the week, and the ground was it was lovely, safe summer ground. But when you come down that hill in Galway, it
Mm.
you know if you don't if you don't really like quick ground, he was the first one off the bridle coming down that hill, and I wasn't like. And normally when you're off the bridle coming down the hill, you don't finish. But when he got to the bottom of the hill, he picked up again, and he's
Okay.
only beaten 2 lengths, I think, in the end. Yeah, that was a great three.
He'll come on from
Um,
that. He'll come on
yeah,
from that by
and
the
then
looks of things.
I went to Kilbeggan, and it was an absolute disgrace. The next day was a winner's race. Um, they were calling the ground good to yielding, which it wasn't. It was good to firm. They hadn't
Okay.
watered, which they normally do. Kilbeggan normally do a good job watering, but there was a change in the clerk of the course on the day,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
we were basically um, we were led astray, and the horse came home completely jarred up, rocked.
Oh,
We were very lucky still haven't. We're lucky he didn't do a tendon or something like that.
wow.
So
Okay.
you can completely put a line through that. We won't run him. We'll campaign him. We'll campaign him on if he is going to run on good ground. It'll be like in the spring at Punchestown where they're
Fine.
properly watered. But that was absolutely disgraceful ground the last day.
Wow. Wow.
It was so. Look, I definitely wouldn't be giving up on him. Being a graded horse, like he was only saying, he's only beaten 2 lengths
Hmm.
in in. You could throw a blanket over them. There was, I think, four of them with 2 lengths covering them. So look, he's probably not. He's probably not going to be at the level of the three others that I mentioned, but he's a nice horse. Um, you know, he could win a listed
Mm.
or grade three, or maybe a big handicap down the road. And I
Okay.
think if he gets soft ground or heavy ground,
Hard to beat.
I wouldn't be surprised, if he did a bit better than that. But
Yeah. Okay.
we just got caught. We got caught badly, and badly let down
The
by
course,
what happened
effectively.
in Kilbeggan that day.
Mm. Yeah, it's very important as well. It's easy to look at the race card as a punter and just get on with things, but it's detrimental to the progression of your horses.
Listen,
Um,
these horses are, they're incredibly hard to get,
yes,
incredibly hard to find. So the least you can expect when you get to a track is you
yes,
have
absolutely.
an accurate going description. And it's happening at a number of tracks here. Like that's why there's 8 or 10 tracks I just put a line through here that I
Wow,
don't run anything during the summer because they're not looking after the tracks. They're not
wow.
irrigating them properly.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
the ground the ground at the summer tracks in England is lovely. When I was riding, I rode in Market Race and Stratford, Worcester, Perth, all those tracks, and they do a fabulous job
Yeah,
in the
okay.
summer there, and they don't look after the. There are 1 or 2 exceptions. In Ballinrobe would be really nice, but typically the courses in the west of Ireland, given the climate,
Yes.
and the type of soil they have over there, usually the ground, is nice. But
Mm, mm.
look, it's a big problem, and the authorities will say, put their hands up in the air and say, "What can we do?" It's been a very dry period. Well, there's plenty they can do.
Oh,
They can they. If you want to do a proper job irrigating, you have to start early and do it. Start watering 10 days in advance and do it little and often. Um, and it's the inconsistency that's the problem.
yeah, because it can't be the hardest thing to get right, you'd
It's
imagine,
it's not
on their part.
it's not. I know you have a
Mm,
background in golf, right?
hmm.
But what really, like, I walk these tracks, and what really bugs me is, and you wouldn't see it in England as much, but track maintenance here, they fill the holes in with sand. Like
Okay,
you go to any, even a kind of an ordinary golf course, and they have a thing called a divot mix,
of
which
course, it's got
is
to be seeded, hasn't it?
which is a bit of clay, a bit of fertilizer, a bit of seed, and you put it in the hole. And by the time you come to the next race meeting,
It's done.
it's
It's
done.
fixed.
Like, you
Yeah.
look at the current, the
Wow.
guys walk the track, they fill it in properly.
Hmm.
Um, Tracks are not being maintained. There's certainly a lot of the summer tracks are not being maintained the way they should be. So if the wind gets up and blows the sand out, you've got rough terrain, and you end up.
It's
We
dangerous.
lost one horse this summer, through just wrong going description,
Oh no.
bad ground, and I just, after that, we were just very, very careful where we run the horses this year.
Yes. Wow. Oh, that's very interesting to hear from my standpoint because again, I don't see that side of things. Obviously, walking the track, but it's
But as
just
you
common.
said, it's not rocket science. Like,
Yeah.
we've some of the best golf courses in the world here,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's like turf management is not.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
it's 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 relatively simple.
It's straightforward when you've got
Leopards,
the basis.
yeah, Leopardstown had to get a turf management company in, for Christmas and the DRF, because
Okay.
the way the climate has gone. Um,
Hmm.
because what happened a few years ago, just they weren't getting any runners because the ground was too quick,
Of course.
and they weren't watering, so they um, went about getting a proper turf management company in, and the ground is perfect now at Christmas. Probably a little quicker on the chase track, but it's
Sure.
it's 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 good safe ground, and that's all that any of the trainers ask. These race courses are getting the media rights money, and they should be
Investing
providing
properly.
a safe surface.
Yes.
They're falling over themselves in the regulatory authority with people employed to look after animal welfare and jockey welfare,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then they turn around and they have horses and riders, putting them at risk
Yeah.
on surface that's too quick.
Yeah. Again, it's a very simple thing is to make the main basis of the track that we have our sport on in decent nick. It's got to be the basics. Again, it's out of my
Completely.
expertise, but surely safety and just so safety has to come first, regardless, doesn't it? It's very
Look,
simple.
it's not even, it should be taken as a given. Um,
Hmm.
you shouldn't have to worry about it. I shouldn't have to worry about.
No,
I have a
absolutely,
stick in my car and I
absolutely.
take it when I go walk on the track. And like, in the summertime, the day after your horse runs, you'd be in trepidation going into the yard to see
Sure.
has he still got four legs on
Yeah,
him.
of course. Yeah, of course.
So anyway, look, that's what it is, and you just have to deal
Hmm.
with it. And the way we've dealt with it is we just didn't have too many runners this year.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, okay. Couple more, and I'll do these quick fire, Barry, so I don't take any more of your
Yeah,
time. Good land, plenty of issues. How
he's
is he?
retired.
I
He's
thought you may say that, you know.
he's retired. He had plenty of leg issues, and
Yes,
he's gone. Our farrier, John McAteer. He has a big farm at home, and he's a bunch of foals and yearlings. So he's got a great home. He's
brilliant.
out, and he's very good. He's very good with our horses. So he's gone to John's place, and he's babysitting foals and
Good.
yearlings.
Good. I'm definitely glad to hear that. Like you said, you were telling me he's had so many problems. He won a grade one for you, the Nathaniel
Yeah,
Lacey, so great to see. And my favourite picture in my camera reel actually is of Goodland. He was asleep when I came to your yard, and you
yeah,
said, "Oh,
that's right.
do you remember?" And he
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
fast
yeah,
asleep, lovely. So I've kept that one and cherished it, as well
yeah.
as I have with Marine's shoe as well. But
Ah,
I'm just being a
your mum,
yeah, exactly.
she
She
a
contacted
sneaky,
you.
a sneaky WhatsApp.
Yeah, yeah, so that's it. I couldn't believe it, because every time it's my birthday and Christmas, I get a new Marine picture or I get a T-shirt with the silks on. So that just topped it off for me, and I didn't expect it. So it was just, yeah, it was amazing. And I've got one of the better mums, that's for sure. So I'm
Yeah,
very very grateful.
yeah, no problem. Well, that was John actually. John.
Oh, of course, the farrier.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay.
John had the four shoes, so I got him to
Well,
send one over to you.
I must thank him as well. Then when I next come over for a visit, Barry, finally legend in your yard, Enniskerry, 11
Yeah,
year old,
yeah,
won the Leopardstown handicap hurdle over Christmas.
yeah,
Just just talk to me. I love him. I love him.
yeah. I listen. He's brilliant. I mean, he's 11 now. We've had him since he was 3. Um,
Wow, he's been such a good
he,
servant for you.
yeah, he is,
Mm,
and like he's run to a high level. I think he's a 150 over fences. He won a couple of graded races over fences. He won 100 grand handicap over hurls, and he's gone up to 145 now. We ran him in the Galway hurl. He was 7th. That's probably him now at this stage.
okay, okay.
And we ran him in actually quite a competitive amateur flat race in
Yeah, I
Killarney.
watched.
He's I think he's an 89 or a 90 on the flat, but like his best run this season now was in the Grimes Hurl in Tipperary. He grade 3. He was only just beaten by Jesse Evans.
That's it. Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was only beaten ahead, I think. So he go back to there's a listed or grade 3 in Tipperary at the last meeting there. I think it's on Arc Day, and he'll
Okay,
go back there. So
brilliant.
what I'm going to do is we'll keep him probably to those small graded races, listed races, and go and pick up prize money.
Sure.
He runs his race every day. You come back with a check for 10 or 15
Hmm.
grand, and like he's a brilliant workhorse, and he's
Yeah.
he's he's loving life. So for the bumper horses we have coming through, to have him there as a kind of a trial horse is invaluable.
And you've had him since 3. It's just amazing that he's gone through the whole career and still
Yeah,
winning
well,
money
that's
for
what we're
the
trying to
yard.
do. We're trying to make careers for these horses.
Sure.
So if they don't start until they're 6, they can still keep
Yeah.
going at a high level until they're 10 or 11.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's still loving life. Like he's flying around the place.
I promise this is the last one. One just popped into my head. Granca de Tay. Got to have a
Yeah,
nice
yeah. Do you know
hurdles
he was
marked.
he was the biggest disappointment last year.
I thought you might say that because
Yeah,
you were. thought he may have been able to turn into a Ryanair candidate
Yeah, yeah.
potentially.
Well,
Hmm.
listen, he won the novice handicap chase in Punchestown, a 100 grand
Punchestown.
novice
Yeah.
handicap chase, and he beat Gavin Cromwell's horse, who,
Percival Legalwa.
yeah, yeah, who
Hmm.
won the, I think he won the Paddy Power this year,
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah.
got into a lovely rhythm, jumped great. And whatever happened when he came back in, we ran him over hurdles in Galway, and he ran okay, and then we ran him a couple of times over fences, and
Okay.
just just absolutely for we couldn't figure out what was wrong. It just didn't look great. Ran a few tests on him, couldn't find anything particularly wrong with
Okay.
him. So we pulled up stumps with him. He pulled up in the Thyestes in
Hmm.
January, and we didn't run him again. Now he has gone out, he has come back in and looks great. His work is not working. He's cantering away. He could be a horse that comes back to himself. I'm hoping he does.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
hoping he does. I don't know what happened last year, but he is rated. He's
He's
rated 138. He probably dropped him a couple of pounds. So
what about that hurdles mark, Barry?
yeah, he's one two
1-2-1.
one. So that's
Yeah.
what we're going to. We will run him over hurdles. He's
Okay.
going to, first run over hurdles will probably be either in Punchestown mid October or in Galway.
Okay. Excellent.
Um,
Excellent.
and look, if we
Hot
can get him,
hunting.
if I don't, I say I don't know what happened to him last year. But if he comes back to, the ability he showed in Punchestown, there's plenty of race to be on with him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Barry, thank you very much for doing this for me.
Okay.
I owe you and Marine a lot in this racing world. You've really been good to me over the past few years, and um, thank you again for giving me your time. You do this completely for free. I'm sure everyone knows that, but I'd just like to make everyone aware my appreciation for you, the yard, and everything that you've done for me over the years. I appreciate it so much, and I will of course look forward to seeing you really soon as well.
Okay, good man. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you,
Best of luck
Barry.
for the season.
Thank you so much. And thank you,
Okay.
everyone that's tuned in. I hope you've enjoyed Barry giving me the time here. Please do like and subscribe if you are able to do so, free to do so. Loads more to come. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.